Hello and welcome to Quick History. Today I'll be talking about Scott Lang, the second Ant-Man who showed up 17 years after the original Ant-Man in Marvel Comics back in December 1978 in the Avengers 181, written by David Michelinie and with art by John Byrne. His first appearance in Avengers 181 was just the single page where he's being attacked by Wonder Man. Wonder Man thinks Scott is an intruder before Tony Stark explains that he's actually one of his employees that's installing a new security system, and yeah, he isn't seen again in the rest of that issue, so wholly uneventful first appearances, Batman. Right? Scott Lang's next appearance was when he actually did something, and that was a month later in January 1979 in Marvel Premiere number 47, titled To Steal an Ant-Man, again written by David Michelinie with art by John Byrne and also this time Bob Layton. Marvel Premiere featuring The Astonishing Ant-Man. All new! Is this the real Ant-Man or an imposter? In this issue we find out that Scott Lang was in prison for being a thief, and while he was there, the prison warden was apparently so impressed by Scott's technological know-how slash model prisoner behavior that he somehow hooks up a job interview at Stark International for him. Nice guy. A panel later, we see Scott getting out of prison and then having a heartfelt reunion with his daughter, Cassie Lang. Scott Lang then focuses on his job, which he was good at, even impressing Tony Stark with his advanced security system designs. But though his work was important, his world was a 9-year-old bundle of tow-headed love. A world that was all too soon to crumble. The doctor tells Scott that Cassie has an inoperable heart condition, and as the following days go by, Cassie's condition worsens and the medical bills get more and more unmanageable, even with a Stark International paycheck. So as much as he doesn't want to, Scott Lang finds himself walking through a nice neighborhood, casing out the joint, and considers getting back into a life of crime in order to pay the bills. Seeing no other choice until the doctor from earlier tells Scott about Dr. Erica Sondheim, whose recent medical developments might be able to save Cassie's life. Scott proceeds to hunt down Dr. Erica Sondheim, but when he finds her place, a bunch of thugs are moving stuff out of it. As one of them is about to tell Scott to go away, Scott sees the doctor and unsuccessfully tries to talk to her. She very obviously under duress says that she isn't able to talk. Then a big goon comes up and says, "You're the lady, mister. Now beat it, unless you want a little persuading." To which Scott responds with a punch to the face. Afterwards, a big arm grabs Scott from the car and tosses him aside, telling him to beat it. The car then drives away, but not before Scott memorizes the license plate number, which he later runs and traces back to the address of a Cross Technological Enterprises, a building that Scott knows that he won't be able to just break into because it's, it's huge. It's got a lot of security. So, in other words, a dead end. So he figures he's back to square one, right? Which means it's time to steal some stuff to pay for Cassie's medical bills. Oh, America. Earlier he saw a house while he was casing out the neighborhood that had some extremely sophisticated detection devices, which Scott figured must mean something valuable was there. A few cool panels of him breaking in later, and Scott comes across the Ant-Man costume. He then remembers the name on the gate said Henry Pym, and it all comes together. This was the Ant-Man's costume. And then Scott realizes that with this costume, he could break into Cross Technological Enterprises and convince Dr. Erica Sondheim to save his daughter. So he gets back to his apartment, tries the outfit on, which he immediately knows how to use because apparently he read an article about the Ant-Man suit in Scientific American magazine while he was in prison. Lucky for him, huh? He learns how to shrink and then learns that he can communicate with ants. So here we see Scott Lang breaking into Cross Technological Enterprises with a flying ant that he named Emma. Aww. So Scott goes in, beats up a few bad guys, and finds Dr. Erica Sondheim right as she's about to do surgery. He tells her that he doesn't know exactly what's going on, but it's obvious that she's there against her will and that he has another patient that's much more deserving of her talents and whatever crook she's working on. And apparently while saying this, Scott didn't notice the grotesquely gargantuan pink villain in the bed behind him. He says his name is Darren Cross and that he's going to utterly destroy him, and yeah, that's the end of that issue. Scott Lang's next appearance finishes that story off in Marvel Premiere number 48, titled The Price of a Heart. Basically in this issue you find out Darren Cross was having Dr. Erica Sondheim give him heart transplants with homeless people because his freakishly strange body was quickly burning through him thanks to his nucleogenic pacemaker. that he had installed, which hilariously enough, he had that installed to help him with a heart condition, but all it did was make him look like this, give him super strength, and again, it made the heart condition worse because now he has to periodically get new heart transplants, right? Anyway, Darren Cross overwhelms Scott Lang and afterwards decides that he wants to have a superhero heart next time instead of a homeless person, so he locks him up in a little room for later. Of course, Scott later breaks out of that room with the help of Emma, go Emma, and meets up to fight with Darren Cross again. They throw a few blows, but Darren just suddenly drops dead. The doctor then explains that she actually pulled an old switcheroo and put Darren's old worn out heart back into his body, explaining that she couldn't let the horror continue. Ant-Man tells her that she did the right thing and proceeds to ask her if she'll help his daughter. We later see that Cassie's operation was a success and she made a complete recovery, so that's nice. Everything's good on that end. And that's when Yellow Jacket, aka Henry Pym, aka the original Ant-Man, shows up. Scott thinks he's there to arrest him and is willing to go quietly, but instead Pym is actually there to tell him that he wants him to keep the Ant-Man costume. Pym explains that he's actually been following Lang the whole time after he stole the costume, minus the period of time he was fighting Darren Cross because he got knocked out by an automatic stun blaster. So Pym tells Scott that he wants him to have the costume, that the world could use another hero. And if you think that sounds like a reckless and kind of crazy thing for Henry Pym to do, you know, just give an ex-con who just broke into his house a ridiculously advanced technology that he made, well, you might be onto something because this was during Hank Pym's Yellow Jacket phase, like I mentioned, and that was a time where he was sometimes quite literally insane. So, hey, maybe this was just one of those times. Or not, I don't know, who knows, right? Anyway, what's important is that Scott is very happy about it. He got into crime for the thrills, I guess, and now he could get his kicks from crime fighting, so nice. And that is Scott Lang's origin. After that, he wasn't a very big character, no pun intended, get it? Because not a very big character, Ant-Man. Alright, so many years later in back issue number 71, the writer, David Michelinie, said, "I wanted something completely different in both origin and motivation from Pym, so I came up with the idea of a reformed criminal, not an unjustly accused innocent, which would have been the expected angle. And I figured that as a burglar, he probably enjoyed the adrenaline rush of his previous job, so the excitement of heroic adventure could fill that need in him, but legally." Anyway, that's the quick history, right? There's more, but that's the quick version. Still kind of long. Gotta work on that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, you know, YouTube. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, guys. Thanks.